All right, what's up? RaceFlight versus BetaFlight. Which one? Revolt V2 versus BetaFlight all-in-one. Which one do you go with? And what is my opinion on RaceFlight 1 running on the Revolt versus BetaFlight 317, which is the latest and greatest, running on the BetaFlight F3? I'm here to tell you. So, first of all, don't mind that the props are different on each quad here. They are not indicative of the actual tests that I flew with either one of them. They're just what happen to be on both quads right now. RaceFlight quad. Both of these. Flynoceros Zeus equipped with connects. The RaceFlight quad has a Maytech PDB. There's the RaceFlight Revolt. You can kind of see stacked in there. You see the red gummies, I'm sure. There's the red board, right? It's got a Maytech 5-volt, 12-volt PDB, the newest PDB from them. And I am running a cap, a 1000 UF cap. I don't know if it's low ESR. I'm not sure. It's a cap that I've actually had for quite a while in my bin because I've never used caps before, but they say to use a cap, so I used the cap on the RaceFlight 1 build. This one, Flynoceros Zeus, same motors as the other one, ERC, Electrify RC, same ESCs, Electrify ERC, 30 amp ESCs. Both, again, running the Connects Vision system, and both running stock PID tunes and stock setup, essentially, from the get-go. So what I did was I have flown this one many a times because I built like 12 of them and I had to fly them all before I even tuned them, and then I had to tune them all. And I know the process it took to do that on the BetaFlight build, and I know that how it flew right out the box, which was garbage. Right out the box, when I threw this thing together and I put the stock PIDs in it and I just went up and test hovered it and I went and flew it, moved all over the place. So it needed tuning out the box to really be able to fly it. That was a given. And that's how pretty much all your BetaFlight builds are going to be. There's not a lot of BetaFlight builds that I've found yet to date that on a stock tune, once you really know what a good tune is a truly good tune. I just have not found that build yet. Maybe, I'm not sure. But as far as installation, both of them are basic installation, right? Build your quad, get your flight controller, attach the signal wires. In the BetaFlight version, you are attaching power wires to the ESCs and everything through the one board. So installation is a little more simple in that case. However, negative ground pads being very, very highly conductive and very thick and heavy-duty copper seatings, they are very difficult to solder, and you really have to bump the temp up, even on the negative pads for like the receiver and the small pinholes. But it's manageable. You can get through it and do it. If you do, it's a very clean and simple build. You'll see comparatively to the RaceFlight build, you can barely even see anything in there. So you're saving a lot of weight, you're saving the space, a ton of room in there to put anything you want compared to, again, this. Now my stack is a little taller than it needs to be, but point being, double stack versus single stack on installation. 5-volt. You got to have 5-volt to run the Revolt. Now, they'll tell you that the reason why is it's noise. More noise, the more voltage you send through it. So, valid point, understandable. Get yourself a good PDB. It's not an issue these days to get a good PDB. It's just another, again, component to add to the build. No big deal. So, we get everything installed, we get it set up, and we go to set the quad up. And I'm going to talk about this kind of from the standpoint of a user that doesn't have a lot of experience in any of this. And also, I'm going to speak from it from somebody that has a little more experience. I'm not a professional. I in no way have any expertise in a lot of this stuff, but I've been doodling and dumbling and rambling on about this for 2.5 years now, it seems. So I do feel like I have a decent amount of experience, and I can say that it's very interesting, the parallels and the differences between them. And what I mean by that is, being a brand new user looking at a BetaFlight setup, and you go in and you connect, just getting it connected and getting the driver set up that can be a problem. People have just lost their mind just trying to get a driver set up. Then they get inside and they look at that panel, right? And you see the panel and you're like, whoa, what is all this stuff? Okay. So there's confusion in both arenas. If you're a new user going in, you're not going to understand a lot of it. That being said, the RaceFlight 1 experience is a much simpler and easier to set. It's hands down done. I can go in there, click 6 buttons basically, and if I can get everything to work the right way and I understand what I'm doing, then those 6 buttons will basically get you flying. Yeah, pretty much. BetaFlight does not have that, right? Like, we have to go in, you have to know what ports to select and turn on and turn them to serial, and you go select your receiver. Now, once you know to do that, I can build and set up a BetaFlight quad in just the same amount of time. It doesn't take more than 4 minutes for me to go through, if even that, and set up a brand new board with all the things I needed to do to where I can plug it in, solder it, and get it flying right out the box pretty consistently. So that, I mean, I have to guess on a tune and I have to tune it, but you know, that's where the differences really lie with the configurators. Is BetaFlight definitely a more experienced builders and users are going to have much more functionality and much more accessibility to changing and tuning and adapting their builds, which means that I could build something other than just this. And that being said, does not mean that you're limited with RaceFlight or RaceFlight 1 or the Revolt. They actually, I've seen some of their stuff that they're doing, and it's interesting. They're adding a lot of the layers and features to be able to do different builds, you know, GPSs and stuff eventually. So it's not that one's better than the other. It's just this is definitely more traditional. If you're a purist of coding and the way that flight controllers work and tuning and setup and all that, then this is your purest kind of methodology now, right? And it gives you a feel that you know and can do more, and that's great. I will say that to set one up and get it running, again, if you can get the software downloaded and the right stuff downloaded and used, it works. That being said, RaceFlight, you got to go in there and, dude, update all that information. There is so much I tried to read just quickly and around and see, okay, is it raceflight.net? Is it raceflight.com? Is it revoltfc.com? What is it that I go to for a straightforward Revolt V2 build? Because I understand there's users of the other stuff still out there, but you guys have to understand that we're buying into this, and I waited this long because I wanted a V2 with RaceFlight, or I wanted the board, the final board, with the essential final RaceFlight 1, which is RaceFlight 1 RC1. And so that's the one that they say, brand new users, if you don't want to do alpha and beta builds, get RaceFlight 1 RC1 off of revoltfc.com, which you go there and then it shows the old stuff. But if you click on downloads, it gets you to the new stuff. But some of the stuff says, like, this may not be necessary with RF1, but then you don't know because you get the RF1 and you're like, I don't know. So again, I think cohesively get that message back together that RaceFlight 1 is where you want to go. Let the guys that want to experiment, you already know who those guys are, or they'll find you. Let them find you. Let's not make it more complicated for the good, unexperienced user who has the money that really, you know, getting in, that we're trying to really adapt this for. So that's all. That's my only criticism. Was as easy as it was confusing still. So anyway. That being said, dude, first flight, you've seen the RaceFlight 1 that I've already posted the video and my opinion of it a couple times. Out the box, best flight I've ever had. Out the box, stock tune, not set anything up. Even guessing on tunes, even guessing on this tune and getting 80% there on a guess, this thing blew it away. And it's just flying different. I cannot explain it. It's just like everybody said. You can't explain it. It flies right. Like, it just flies right. And it almost feels like it flies right even though it doesn't want to. And that's where it gets interesting and weird. Is I don't understand how X relates to Y anymore. So when I tune this or I'm flying this BetaFlight quad, I've always for the last 2 years understood how X and Y relate, right? Or I've over the years figured out that in tuning you tune this, well then you got to tune this, or you got to these things play off each other. That even just looking at a frame, I can kind of guess a tune a lot easier than some people, just because I've seen a lot of different tunes, and those I can visually see it and say, okay, well, because of the way that this is set up and configured and the weight and all that and where it's shifting and the motor positions, I'm going to say that this is going to be higher than this and this is going to be lower and that's going to be this and that. And those numbers all flow together. And then I'm off, but then when you start adjusting them, you realize that that kind of formula XY is always there. It's hard to say I have to learn the new XY, if you would. So it's just weird. I don't know. I don't know what to think other than whatever they're doing, they're onto it, and it is definitely something I'm interested in. Am I going to convert everything to RaceFlight? Absolutely not, because I just have configurations I can't. My two skull builds, unless they make an all-in-one, which I don't think they will, according to what they say about filtering the noise. I don't see me being able to fit one in my skull HDs, so that wouldn't be possible. Though I'll be honest, I kind of wish I could. So there's that, right? All the in between, the wish wash, the talk, the GPL this, the GPL that, the who stole what or who did what or who's a snake oil salesman. Look, at the end of the day, everything is out there that's out there. Make your own decisions based off of what you want to base that off of. I definitely have my opinions of some of the stuff that happened, and that's fine. But the product does work, and the product is pretty damn good. And I have to again say that they did a great job with the product. It's disappointing to see how we got to this point. That being said, it doesn't mean I'm going to be an idiot and not try to fly it or play with it or continue to use it. If we'll see how it all shakes out when it all shakes out. Let's just say that, right? I don't think the total history of RaceFlight has been written yet, and I genuinely do and always have thought. And anybody that knows me and has talked to me about this in person or just knows me knows that I have never thought that they were out to get the mark or out to get us, like out to make something giant fail. I never intended on making them seem to be some huge monster. More of bring light to what was a lot of good conversation that could be had around some of the choices and tactics and marketing, and just in general, there's no point in talking about it. Just again, disappointing to where how we got here. I hope to see the future of it be much more positive and much more cohesive to the building of the community and utilizing of the community in a way that this stuff is it's good. It's good. Real close. I see some real potential for some future roadmap stuff too that I'm sure they're working on, but I might have to get in contact with Preston and say, hey, look, like dope. This is awesome. This and this and this is this. Love to see this, 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 and this, and see what he says. I don't know. He might say, Troy, we've already done it. It's already coming out. I don't know. But hand it to you guys. Kalen, Preston, the other Preston, 32, Brain Train, Night Fury, Gar's up there working with them. Good job. Keep up the hard work. I know there's people I left out and left off. But I'm impressed. I am impressed. Fly safe, fly smart, fly RaceFlight if you choose, or BetaFlight. I'm going to do both. Peace.